Okay, AP Stats, we are going to go over the calculator functions on the TI-84 compared to Desmos. So you already know how to use Desmos and you're pretty comfortable with it. So I want to show you the process in Desmos and then show you that same process in the TI-84, and you'll see it's very similar. So I divided the sheet up into units. So Unit 1 has the most calculator functions. Unit 2 is the linear regression, so I've got a lot of calculator functions with that. And the Unit 4 probability really was just the binomial distribution functions. So those are the main calculator pieces. So we'll start off with Unit 1. So on Desmos, you learned how to calculate the mean, the median, the standard deviation, the Q1, and the Q3. So you did that by going to the function menu, clicking on stats, and then clicking on whatever you needed and entering in the data set. So you clicked on mean, median, quartile for Q1 and Q3, and then standard deviation. So let me go ahead and do some examples on Desmos, and then I'll walk you through the TI-84 piece. So on Desmos, and I'm just going to make up a data set. Stats, we'll start off with mean. So I'll just do some Alright, here's a quick data set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's got 6 numbers, so pretty straightforward. We just calculated the mean. If I would want to do the standard deviation, oops. Let me close this door, it's a little loud outside. Alright. Alright, so that's my mean. If I wanted the standard deviation, I would get that. If I wanted the Q1 or Q3, I would go to quartile. I would use the brackets, wherever these brackets are. Where are they? Here? And then comma Q1. I'm sorry, comma 1. Same thing here, but for Q3, I would do quartile, brackets, data set, comma 3, and that gives me Q3. Alright, so I got all my numbers in Desmos. Now I want to use the same data set and do a comparison with the TI-84 and make sure we get the same numbers. Alright, so write those numbers down, and I'm going to write them down as well. You don't need to write them down in order. So 72, 83, 19, 26, 33, 50. Alright, so I'm back here, and this is how you find the mean, the median, the standard deviation, the Q1, and the Q3 in the calculator. So you're going to hit on at the bottom, so this on button. It comes on. The first thing you do is hit stat, this button right here. So once you hit that stat button, this menu will come up. You've got 3 different sections, edit, calc, and tests, and you navigate them with these little arrows like this. So you're going to start off with edit and edit. So just literally once you hit stat, you're going to hit enter. And that's what this means right here, stat, then enter. That's your step 1. Alright, once you do that, it brings you up to these lists, L1 and L2. I've got numbers in here, so what you can do is scroll up, hit clear, and scroll down. Same thing, go up, hit clear underneath L1, and move down. I guess I didn't add that. Highlight L1, hit clear, hit down arrow. That will clear out your calculator if you've got numbers in it. Alright, next up you're going to type your list of numbers into L1. So you just type the number and hit enter. So I'm going to type 72, and then to get 72 in L1, I just click this enter button at the bottom. Alright, so I put 72, and I'm just going to keep going until I get all my numbers. So 72, 83, 19, 26, 33, and 50. I know I have 6 numbers, and when I highlight the last number, it has 6 in parentheses, so I know that I had 6 numbers. I think that's all right. All right, now to get the mean, median, standard deviation, Q1 and Q3, it's all just on the same menu. I'm going to hit Stat again once I have my numbers in. This time I'm going to go over to Calc. So that's where this Stat, Calc, 1 var stats, which is the very first one. I just hit Enter. My list is automatically set to L1. That's where I put all my numbers in. If you put them in a different list, which I don't know why you would, but if you did change this to a different list by looking at, you'll see these blue numbers. L1 is right there, L2, L3, L4, L5, L6. So you just have to hit that second button and then click on the so like second one gives me L1. Second 2 would give me L2 and so on, but I don't want L2, I just want L1. Alright, so I go down and I hit Calculate. So that's all it is. Stat, Enter, type your numbers in. Stat, hey Terrence, how are you? Stat, Calc, 1 variable stats. Make sure your list says L1 or whatever you want it in and click on Calculate. And this gives you your numbers. So your X bar is your mean, which you should know. Let's compare that to Desmos. 47.16, yep. All right, your standard deviation, 25.88. So you'll see it's represented by the S, SX right here. So 25.88. It's going to be right here. So that's your mean and your standard deviation. You're going to scroll down using this down arrow. That'll give you your min, your median, your max, your Q1, and your Q3. So median is 41.5, Q1 is 26, Q3 is 72, which I believe we got for both of these as well. So the main bulk of it is just putting your list into L1, and again that's Stat, Enter, L1. To clear it out, you go up and highlight, hit Clear, scroll down, and that clears out your list. To type them, you just type the numbers in and hit Enter until you've got all your numbers, and then you would go to Stat, Calc, 1 variable statistics, and go down to Calculate. Alright, so that is the first 5 things. After that, let's talk about normal distribution probability. So you don't even need a calculator for this because you've got z-score and table A, right? Let me go ahead and put that as another method. By hand, you would, number 1, calculate the z-score. And number 2, look up your table A value using the z-score. If you're doing a free response, definitely use this method because this shows your work so you can get all your credit. If it's a multiple choice or you want to check your stuff by hand, then I would use the Desmos or the TI-84. Alright, so for Desmos, let me clear all this out. Remember with Desmos, we click on the keyboard, we hit Function, we go to Distribution, Normal Distribution. It tells you what to put, the mean and the standard deviation. I'm just going to make something up. So let's do a mean of 14 and a standard deviation of 0.4. Alright, then you would click on Find Cumulative Probability. So it depends on if you were shading to the left or shading to the right here. So let me say the max would be, let's say, 12.7. Nope, let's make it a higher number. Let's make it 13.9. All right. So that is my probability if I was shading to the left of 13.9, so 0.40. So let's do the same thing on the TI-84, and that way we can check our work. So let me write this down. My mean is equal to 14, my standard deviation is equal to 0.4, and my value is equal to 13.9. I'm going to go ahead and draw a little picture so I can show you guys what we are working on. And I'm shading to the left. Okay. Alright, here's a little picture I drew. So first, let's do it by hand since we checked it in Desmos. The z-score would be the value minus the mean. So 13.9 minus 14 divided by the standard deviation of 0.4. All right. 13.9 minus 14 divided by 0.4 gives me a z-score of negative 0.25. If I were to look that up into table A, negative 0.25, I would look up negative 0.2, and I would scroll over to the 5. So negative 0.25 is 0.4013, which we confirmed in Desmos here. 0.4013, because that would round up to a 3. All right, so we did it by hand. We did it in Desmos. Let's now do it in the calculator. All right. So here is what we do. We start off by hitting the blue button for second vars. So your second button is here, your vars button is here. So hit second, then hit vars. This menu comes up. You want to go to normal CDF, so number 2, normal CDF. I'll put option 2 right here so you know where it is. All right, click on it. I'm going to clear everything. Oh, it won't let me. Okay. So I'm going to put in my lower and my upper that would just be the same as what I would put in for the min and the max. So instead, I can't put in negative infinity into the calculator. So what I'm going to put in instead is negative 1 million or positive 1 million. That represents negative infinity and positive infinity. So here, my min was negative infinity, so I'm going to put in negative 1 million here. My upper is my value, which I'm going to put as 13.9. So it's basically exactly what you're putting into Desmos as well. Your mean, we said our mean was 14, and our standard deviation was 0.4. These just come straight from the problem. And then you're going to go down and click paste. Once you click paste, you hit enter. This will come up, hit enter again, and it should give you the same thing that you get on Desmos, which it does. 0.4013. 0.4013 actually gives us the exact same number. So here are the step-by-step instructions. You're going to put in, if your min on Desmos was negative infinity, you're going to put in negative 1 million. If your max was infinity, you'll put in a positive 1 million. All right, pretty straightforward so far. So now you know how to get the mean, the median, the standard deviation, the Q1, the Q3, and check your normal distribution probability. Remember, you can do it by hand, and that's what I recommend to get full points on the exam. But it's also good to have the TI-84 or Desmos to be able to check your amount, especially on a multiple choice problem where you want to move quickly. All right, so that was all the Unit 1 calculator functions. Let's go to Unit 2. All right, Unit 2 in Desmos. So Unit 2 was that linear regression equation and the correlation coefficient. So you'd have bivariate data, so two different, an x and a y value that were linked together. So here's what I did in Desmos. We'll just use the same data set. So in Desmos, what you do is you click on the plus sign and you add this table. I'm going to put in exactly what I have in the handout. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the x side, and on the y side I have 26, 41, 67, and 88. All right, after that I go down to the next section, number 2, and I put in y1, squiggly line, mx1 plus b. So it's basically the same y equals mx plus b. It's like a linear equation, except I'm going to put y1 and x1 because I need to name them specifically from the table. See, at the top of this table is x1, the top of that one is y1. So I need to put that as well. And you're going to use this tilde mark, that squiggly line, which basically means regression or regress in Desmos. So this calculates your slope and your y-intercept of your line, and it also gives you the r squared and the r. So if you were to write out your linear regression line, you would write y hat equals 2.5 plus 21.2x. Your m is the coefficient in front of the x. Your b is your constant that comes first in statistics. So you get your line information straight from the bottom, and then here's your r squared, your coefficient of determination, and your correlation coefficient. All right, to get these numbers in the TI-84, we have to do things a little bit differently. All right, first thing you need to do is to turn the diagnostic on. It's just like some little thing that you have to do in the calculator. To do that, you're going to hit the second button and the 0 button. So second 0 brings up this catalog. You're going to scroll down to the D section where it says diagnostic on. If you don't do this before you put everything in the calculator, your R number won't show up. So you click on diagnostic on, it'll come up like this, and you need to hit enter again because the word done should appear. Yep. Now I know the diagnostic's on, I'm ready to put my data in. I go back to stat and enter. Gives me my L1 and my L2. Remember, if I need to clear it, I go up and hit clear and then move it down, and it should clear both of them. You're going to type your X values in L1 and your Y values in L2. So I'm going to do that just like I did with the table on Desmos. I'll put in 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here I'll put in 26, 41, 66, 67, and 88. My table should match up. So if I have 4 in the left column, I should have 4 in the right column, or I'll get an error message. All right, once I've done that, I'm going to go to Stat, Calc. So Stat, move over to Calc, Lin Reg AX plus B, option 4. All right. You should make sure that your X list says L1 and your Y list says L2. That's going to be your default, but if you need to change it, remember, all the L list numbers are here below. You just need to hit the blue button first and then whatever list you need. So if I had my X list in L2, I would just hit second and then 2 to get L2 up there. But I need L1 in there, so second and L1. All right, so once you do that, you make sure you have your right list. X list is L1, Y list is L2. Go down to the word calculate and hit enter. And it gives you everything you need. Except instead of an M, you have A. So whatever coefficient is in front of the X. So A is 21.2, B is 2.5, which is exactly what we have on the Desmos menu as well. My R is 0.9952, and my R squared is 0.9904. So it gives you the same exact thing. A is your slope, B is your y-intercept, R squared, coefficient of determination, R is your correlation coefficient. And that's it for Unit 2. All right, Unit 4 was your binomial distributions. So let's go ahead and remind you how to do that on Desmos. You're going to click on the keyboard, Functions. You're going to make sure you're at the Distributions menu and click Binomial Distributions. It tells you trials and success probability. I'll use the same ones on the handout, so 10 and 0.5. And then, so PDF, I just leave it right here, and I click on a certain dot. That would give me, oops. All right, so if I clicked on the first dot, I know my probability of getting exactly 1 is 0.01. 2 is 0.044, so it's the y value for whatever x you're trying to find. All right, so let's do the same on the calculator. All right, I start off by hitting the blue second button and then vars. So second, vars, and it brings up these distributions. I'm going to scroll all the way down to option A, so past all the numbers. Option A says Binom PDF. That's what we're doing up here, a Binom PDF. So I click it, and it has the same thing that it had on Desmos. What are your number of trials? What's your probability of success? So I said my trials was 10, my probability of success is 0.5, and then it asks for your x value. All right, so here, let's try different ones. If I put in 3, I should get 0.117, so let's try it. 3, click paste, enter. I get the same thing, 0.117. Shh, thank you. And then when I go back to, let's try a different number. I go all the way down to option A. Same trials, but instead of 3, let me try 2 and see if I get the right number. All right, so 2 in the calculator, I should get 0.044, and I did. I did second, vars, went down to option A, and I put in 2 instead of 3. Click paste. That smells good. How are you? What'd you get?
I got some Nemos. You wasn't in the vicinity.
All right, binom CDF is where you're finding a cumulative number. So remember, PDF is just the equal sign, like x equals 2. CDF is going to be x is less than 2 or x is greater than 2, right? So I would click here on the find CDF, and let's just say everything is less than 2. So I'm going to put my max is 2. I get a probability of 0.0546875.
Cool.
Binom CDF, I do the same thing, second vars, but I'm going to scroll down to option B this time, binom CDF. I'm sorry, option B. I said C, I meant B. Click on that, put in the trials, 10, probability of success, 0.5, and that just comes straight from your problem. Now my x value, it's going to be inclusive, right? So let me show you what happens when I put 2. Do I have the same amount? 0.0546, yes. So if my max is 2, it gives me 2 and under. So whatever you put in, it will give you that number and under. If you're looking for over, you need to do 1 minus that number. So I would do 1 minus, and I go up and I click enter so it pastes it there. And that would give me the complement, right? These two would add up to 1. So it just depends on which, hang on, let me stop filming this video. Hold on. Alright, so looking at this kind of just tells you which way your inequality is going. So probability defaults to less than. So it'll give you the number for everything less than. So if you need greater than, you need to subtract it from 1. So if your inequality is P is less than, then you're good. If it's greater than, take the number that you get and subtract it from 1. Alright, as always, let me know if you have any questions. To clear the calculator completely, you're going to do the following. Yeah, it should be on the floor over there. Is it not? Second, plus sign, 7, 1, 2. This combination will clear the calculator completely. So if you did second, plus sign, 7, 1, 2, it says RAM cleared and it resets everything. Over there by the, right by the door when you come in. So if you get stuck on the calculator or something's not making sense or L1 isn't coming up, just clear the calculator and start over. So this is to clear the calculator. All right, I hope you enjoyed my calculator tutorial.